Hey guys, this is Kevin with Spirit of Twilight. Welcome back to another video based on my bullet journal. This is the mid setup for 2022 with the Yop and Tom A5 bullet journal. As you see, it comes with a grid guide, as I mentioned in the previous video. And we're going to start designing with our bullet journal, starting with the Belong To page. So as you're using this bullet journal, I've already entered a lot of things, or penciled in a lot of things, I should say, using the grid that comes with the Yop and Tom bullet journal, which is quite helpful because it allows you to space out everything on every spread without having to count any squares. So it's really helpful when you're designing, but also since it comes with it as a cardboard insert and it's foldable, you can put it away in the back pocket also. So if you need to get in touch with me based on this video, if you have any questions, of course you can contact me by the way of email at hello@spiritoftwilight.com, or I'm also available at spiritofTwi on Instagram and also Twitter. But this bullet journal, it averages around $20 to $25 from Amazon, and it was a game changer for me based on the previous bullet journal that I used to use, which was from Michaels. Now the reason why I switched is because unfortunately, the Michaels bullet journal can't handle any type of heavy load markers or paint, and I do like to add some creativity outside of the minimalist design. So, as you can see here, you can customize your key page as you wish. You don't have to follow the exact design or exact way of doing things in the bullet journal method book. And as we move on from the key page, you have our index. We're just going to skip over that and go to our inspiration page. Now the inspiration page is also optional, but I wanted to go with a quote. And this quote actually comes from Peter Drucker. And I really enjoyed this quote. I thought it was really cool. So it says, "Until we can manage time, we can manage nothing else." And that's true. And based on the bullet journal, managing your time is your number one priority. So, to me, this quote was very important as far as looking at it every single time I open my bullet journal. So, we're going to speed things up here in just a second. And we'll get everything going with this page, which you'll see me using some Tombow water-based markers. You'll see me do some intricate type of writing after I finish the base that I'm doing now. There we go. Until we can manage time, we can manage nothing else, and that is by Peter Drucker. Now when it comes to finding quotations for your bullet journal or anything that is meaningful for you, that is something that I always put on this page. As I mentioned, it's something that you're going to look at every single day, and being that I'm not the best person to manage my time or record or remember things, this is something that I needed to do in order to manage my small business better and make sure that I have everything scheduled the way it's supposed to be and remember things that I've done that I haven't scheduled, so I can manage my time better in my next bullet journal. And that's what this is all about. It's all about managing your time. It's all about finding out what is really important to you it's not all about the creativity. However, the creativity is nice. And of course, on YouTube and Instagram, you can find many other creators that are a lot more intricate than I am within designs, and I usually stay very minimal, just for the reason of I don't want to take away for me what the bullet journal is for. But a lot of people, especially like Plant-Based Bride, she is absolutely phenomenal in her design, and I started using watercolor and wanted to use watercolor in my bullet journals because of her creativity and what she does. And she does it so well and so beautifully. Who wouldn't want to do that? Again, you don't need to have all that creativity in order to use a bullet journal. I'm just doing this based off the top of my head of what I wanted to design and pencil in before I went ahead and colored in and used my markers, so on and so forth. Speaking of what you're putting into your bullet journal, this is kind of my theme for the beginning of this bullet journal. It is actually time, based on the quote. So as you're going to see on other pages, I have the clock or clock face inscribed and drawn, so I can carry on that type of theme. I'm also using a lot of grays and a light blue. I use a dark blue also with a fine liner on top of some of the other words and lettering, just to add a little pizzazz and to keep everything fresh. But this is my opening page, or my quote page as I call it. And next we're going to move on to the future log. And the future log is very important for a lot of people. Unfortunately, I don't use it as much as I should, but I do have it in place in case if I need it. I have reminders that I'm scheduling something in the future and don't need to put it in my bullet journal immediately, such as with your monthly log, daily, or weekly. And it depends, of course, if you're using the daily and weekly separate and what type of monthly that you're using too. You'll see that when I get to my monthly page. And this is a Tombow marker. These again are water based, and it is a pale blue, powder blue, baby blue, whatever you'd like to call it. I'm just using that as a base coat for this page of the future log. And then I'm just coloring in some light gray just to add some depth to the words, lettering, and numbers. Now, if you watch other videos that I've done with bullet journaling, you notice that they're purely gray, black, and white. And I really, again, like to stay that way just so I can keep the main focus on the bullet journal itself, instead of having to look at something very beautiful, and that would pretty much get me sidetracked. So you want to keep that in mind when you're creating your bullet journal pages or your spreads, is you want to keep it to the point where it's still useful and it's not going to sidetrack you in any way, shape, or form. Now, knowing Plant-Based Bride, she has mentioned in one of her videos that her bullet journals are so beautiful for the reason that if they weren't, she probably wouldn't open it and use it. Plus, she is an artist, so most definitely she has a way with design, and she does beautiful work. Okay, right now I'm just putting the months starting with July 2022 to June 2023, since this is a mid-year bullet journal. And as you can see, I'm not a perfectionist as far as the lettering is concerned, but I will play with the lettering. Especially if I happen to make a mistake, you can go ahead and just add a little bit of flair to the lettering to correct it. In this case, I'm adding depth to the bottom of the letters in black with the same pen that I used to create those letters. And I believe I did this because I made an error somewhere on the page. Then I decided also to use another fine liner in dark blue underneath those words and those letters for each month, because I'm going to take that water-based marker in baby blue made by Tombow and go underneath as you see now. And that's just to give it a little highlight, but also so the black blends into the dark blue, which will then blend into the Tombow. Now continuing on with the clock theme or the time theme, I'm actually creating a clock that was based on art from Salvador Dali, and this is his piece where the clock is melting on a table, but of course I don't have a table in the background, so we're just doing the actual theme in a very shadowed manner, so you can write over it and still see the ink on top of what I'm creating. So I just added the background of the clock shape, and we're just going to go ahead and shade in and highlight around the clock just so it blends in a little bit more, because I believe I used too dark of a color. Now we're just going to add in the hands and also the numbers, which I'm also adding numbers on the outside of the clock, just to show that time needs to be organized. However, it can be chaotic. And that's pretty much it for the future log. Very simple. Okay, so let's go to the future book tracker and also the future movie and streaming tracker. And these pages I created because I do read a lot of books, so I wanted to keep a list of books that I wanted to read throughout the next 6 to 12 months. And it doesn't mean that I'm going to be reading them, it's just a list of something that I found or something that was recommended to me, so I can keep a note of who the author was and what the name of the book was. So that does help. But I also keep a monthly tracker based on the books that I read, because if you've watched my other YouTube videos, I do happen to do book reviews. And those book reviews, I do share my thoughts about the author and the book itself. Now on this other side, I'm doing movies and streaming. So if there's something that comes up as far as the movie is concerned, I could write down the movie or the streaming and the streaming service based on the show or movie that I'm going to watch. Or if I go to the movies, then I could write down everything, do my own reviews or my own thoughts based on the movie review or streaming review. So that's something I like to keep track of what I want to see or what I want to read But you'll notice that I'm also putting in small clock faces on these pages as well, just to keep the theme moving, along with the pale blue, black and white as well. And so these two pages are very simple, but they are very valued as far as things that I want to keep track of within my bullet journal. So you'll see under the book section that I'm writing now, the book name, the author, and then the R stands for did I read the book or not. And then of course for movies, we have the name of the movie and thoughts about the movie, which I may also keep information as far as what service, streaming service, or what other types of feedback. But that's it for this time, so thank you so much for watching.